Hey everyone, this is Raina Carillo with Purpose and Passion. I'm so excited today because I have a beautiful woman in the building like I always do, right? So today we're going to learn a lot about the insurance industry and specifically the medical insurance industry. I have a lot of people that are always calling me, always asking me, do you sell medical insurance, Raina? And I'm like, no, I only do life insurance. So today I'm really excited to have Maria Fernanda in the building because she's going to enlighten us on her professional field in the medical insurance industry. Hey, girl, thank you for coming.
Of course, thank you. It's my pleasure being here with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Maria. I'm just really excited. I'm truly blessed that Myra has been sending me amazing women.
I know, she has.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, man, her circle is really inspiring. And you know me, I'm all about women empowerment.
Definitely.
So take our viewers through your journey of, where you grew up, where your parents are from, how was your childhood? How was high school?
Okay. So, man, where do I start?
Right?
That's a lot. Well, I was actually born and raised in Mexico, Guadalajara. That's where I'm from. I grew up there at age 7 or 7.5. I came to the United States and started kind of like learning English and kind of diving into my elementary school, middle school. I went back to Mexico when I was in middle school, and I kind of was back and forth in my early childhood from here and Mexico, and now finished my high school here, did a couple of, actually did 2 years of college, and then dived right into the insurance industry when I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in
Really
high
early on.
school, did you just wanted to be in the insurance industry?
Actually, no. I stumbled into insurance because of my parents and life insurance. But I actually wanted to be a news reporter. I wanted to be a weather girl in the Channel 34.
You can do Telemundo. Like as soon as I get that hookup, I'm gonna make sure that I refer you over there.
Right? Yeah. I think I wanted to be a news reporter really bad. Throughout my high school career, I wanted to go and study journalism and do like all kinds of just learning about channeling like the weather, and I wanted to do a little sports broadcast and all of that stuff. And when I was 18, actually, I decided, you know what, I really love business and I love learning about other people's businesses. So I think I'm going to do insurance. It wasn't easy at the beginning.
Yes.
I started with life insurance. So I actually got my broker's license when I was 18. So I couldn't get a license when I was 17, and I was studying for my test already. So I kind of knew I wanted to dive into that, but at the same time, like make money in the insurance industry and also go to college. So I did that for a little bit, worked out for me. And then life had other plans for me. And then I ended up actually being pushed to being to a smaller agency, right?
Yes.
So I went into a big agency. Actually, now that I think about it, it was a pretty large agency in downtown LA. I was 19 at the time.
Wow.
No, I think I was 19 turning 20. And I just went all in, and I didn't know anything about insurance. I knew life insurance, which is I know is your field. And I didn't know anything about general liability or workers' comp or any of that. And I just kind of dived into everything. And it was like swimming with sharks.
Yeah, especially in downtown LA, right?
Yeah.
So how was that industry in Los Angeles, downtown LA? Like, was it where it was male dominant? How did you feel as a woman being in that field, in downtown LA? Because that's a different energy.
Oh, it was. It definitely was. And you know what? It was crazy because my drive to downtown LA, I remember I had a Mini Cooper at the time, and I would my hands would be sweating because I was like, what made me most nervous was the parking lot. Because that was my most
the structure or whatever. Yeah.
That made me the most nervous. When I got into the office, I feel like I've always been a really good student. I've always loved to learn. I've always loved to take notes and have my notepads and highlighters and color coordinate everything. So I felt as soon as I stepped into the office, I kind of became a student, right? So I was so annoying. I would ask all the questions. I would just knock on people's offices. I just wanted to learn and I wanted to know. And I just had like this weird passion for really learning the product, and not just the product, but like the
Yes.
business aspect of it. So
Wow.
I started just diving into that. And that's where I actually met Myra. She was a broker at that same agency. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a small world. Yeah, she's very inspiring.
She is
Yes.
very inspiring.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
inspiring. Oh my gosh. So then when you started, working with Myra, like was it different, compared to the downtown LA energy, or just in general the work field? Because sometimes like I've noticed, like I've been, I'm in the nonprofit sector still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Working, because that's obviously my passion, working with
Right.
at-risk youth. And every nonprofit is different. You have people that when you come to work, you just love to go to work. And then you
Right.
have those haters
Oh, you do.
where it's just like, oh my God, can we just both win together? Or like,
Right,
can we just
right.
win because, we're women or women of color,
Right.
So,
You know what? You mentioned like male dominance in like the office that I
yes.
firstly worked on. Actually, I felt a lot of female presence. So my first agency, my first
Hmm.
introduction to insurance was on the workers' comp general liability. And there was this woman in our first agency, and she
Yes.
was actually a really big, respectable insurance broker in the medical health insurance industry, which is what
Wow.
I'm doing now.
Hmm.
And I would just look at her and I would be like, gosh, like, she's so good, she's so knowledgeable, but she didn't know how to teach, right? She was kind of like a one-man show.
Okay.
So I
Yes. Yes.
always
Yes.
thought, wow, but if she could share her knowledge, then we can all learn from her and we can, in a way, be like her, right?
Yeah.
But she really saw us, and even though we worked in the same agency, she definitely saw us as competition, right? And instead
Yes.
of us winning together, she kind of wanted to make sure that you knew your space and you kind of like,
Mm.
and that really motivated me to look outside of that agency because I
Yes.
didn't feel safe in that environment because I knew I wanted to grow. And then things just happened naturally, right? Myra kind of drifted on her own in the agency. I met her once or twice, went to lunch once during that time
Yes.
period. And then just life switched up on me as well. So I ended up just seeking her out as like, hey, I heard you started your own insurance agency. And she goes, yeah, I'm not hiring any brokers. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm still going to work for you. And she kind of took that very lightly.
Wow.
She was like,
Yeah.
okay, like this girl. And you could hear her story too, but she always talks about how she saw me and she was like, she's just a girl who's probably going to be like into Instagram and taking pictures, and
Yes. Yes.
she's not going to be serious about business. But I remembered I would just show up at her office for a long time. Like I would show up at her
Wow.
office and I just try to learn from her too. But she had something that the last agency didn't, which was she was open to teach. But
Yes.
so I kind of had to pull that side from her so that she would be open to teach again, and she was kind enough to share her knowledge with me,
Yes.
not only in the insurance industry because we were both very new at it,
Mm-hmm.
but in the I guess like being brave enough to do it on your own.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, think about that. I mean, a woman running her own business is scary, because,
Definitely.
people always like they count us out for some odd reason. I don't know. And it's so weird because it's like, how do you count us out when we birth children?
Absolutely.
Kind of like a goddess, right?
Yeah.
We birth life, we raise our children, we're the backbone of the family. So why
Definitely.
wouldn't you think a woman can run a business? And then on top of that, she's Latina. So that's a really hard one as well. Like when I think about the industry I'm in, when it comes to the financial services industry, it's predominantly Latinos.
Right.
So our my mentors, the EVCs or senior EVCs, the senior executive vice chairmen, they're a Mexican married couple. And one thing that I like about them is that, first of all, they were, well, technically I knew the husband first. He was my mentor from the beginning, Guillermo Haro. He was the first Mexican millionaire I met. So I was automatically like excited for him, and just to be
Right.
like, wow, like if that was him, like, oh, let me rub my elbow on him, so maybe I can get that too,
Yeah.
And he was from Zacatecas, where my dad is from. So
Okay.
that was even awesome more, right?
Yeah.
And so he builds leaders.
Yeah.
And so he produces brokers like left to right, like that. He has more than 20 offices, which that means he has more than 20 brokers. And those 20 brokers have more than 20 people,
Yeah,
agents.
under him.
And just to see their leadership is good, because they train you so then you can become like them. And there's nobody crawling like crabs in a barrel.
Right.
So that's why I love the leadership, like you were talking about Myra,
Yeah.
people that's willing to teach you how to learn to be similar to them, right?
Right.
Also to educate your community that normally Charles Schwab or, Merrill Lynch wouldn't do. If you
Right.
talk about the urban communities, they call it
Hmm.
the hoods, but I like saying urban communities, a little bit nicer.
Right.
And I think it's really, really great to be able to educate your black and brown communities that normally they wouldn't have the resources to, right?
Right.
So,
I definitely did see that because when I was, well, in my medical insurance
mhm.
enrollments, I host open enrollments for companies with 50, 30, 20, 10, 5 employees, right? All the
Yes.
way out to 100, 150. Well, when I was doing that and I was going through with it with my last broker, I would see the way she kind of, she didn't speak Spanish. So there was a barrel like communication there with like our Latino
Mhm.
community, like you
Yes.
said. So I was sitting there and I would think, I was like, if I was a broker, I would definitely handle this account differently. And one of the ways is like now I really sit there with the dad or the grandparent or whatever it is, and I let
Mhm.
them know these are the benefit packages that the company's offering, and I speak it in their language so they feel more comfortable with it. And I feel like
Yes.
because I'm able to do that and kind of relate back the messages, like it's not just medical insurance, it's kind of like you're changing somebody else's. If they don't understand it, they don't want it, right? They're just
Yes,
like,
of
well, I
course.
don't get it, I don't want it, I'm gonna waive it. And it's sometimes easier to waive it for the employer because in reality is like they're saying no to something that could potentially benefit their family. They
Yes.
have the coverage for medical, dental, vision, 401ks, life insurance, and it's through the company, which is a lot of our Latino people, they don't know what they're saying no to. They're just kind of like no, but they're
Yes.
saying no because they don't understand what they're
Correct.
being offered. So taking the time to educate them has been one of my like main things, especially when I'm hosting these enrollments,
Yes.
and not making them feel like less than, and instead of empowering them of asking questions like, do you know what you're signing?
Mhm.
Is this something that you want to do? Do you know like this and that? So actually explaining something to them has been kind of in a weird life changing for some of them. I have
Mhm.
some employees who call me and they're like, oh, you made me get this plan and my wife was able to deliver her baby in Cedar Sinai.
That's
I thought
a
I couldn't afford it. And
blessing.
I'm like, okay, like it's bigger than what I even thought in my head, because like this
Yeah.
family now has the like available resources to go to like a Cedar Sinai or like Memorial Hospital and like OC and things like that. So it's definitely been something else.
So if let's say somebody, got laid off of work and they needed medical insurance, could I just refer them to you?
Well, I actually don't deal with the individual medical insurance
Mhm.
at this moment. I deal mostly with group insurance. So there's an
Okay.
employer, right? But if they did get left off of work, then Cobra would be able to cover them for the next 30 days after they've been off
Okay.
of
Okay.
work. And the employer has to give them that time to find individual coverage elsewhere.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. And then, so the next question is, because I am in the nonprofit sector, they always have open enrollment.
Right,
And
right.
so, how do I get you to attend these open enrollments or to meet with the individuals like the HR company,
Yeah,
to
definitely. So for open
help them?
enrollment time for companies, right, with they have group medical insurance, open
Mm-hmm.
enrollment time, it's usually November, December. But for individuals, the dates change, right?
Yes.
So open enrollment could be now or 10 days from now,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because everybody is like a renewal time. But without getting really technical about open enrollment, is usually if the HR is willing to change the benefits, then there's open enrollment for a new hire. So they all have a waiting period,
Okay.
which sometimes employers tend to kind of like throw to the side. But it's important that the employees, the Latino community knows, like
Yes.
you have X amount of time to enroll or waive into medical insurance. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
very, very interesting. Okay. So we're going to go into purpose and passion. So I always, try to ask my guests, like, do you know your purpose
Right.
on earth and have you been fulfilling that purpose?
That's a great question.
Right? I always say that. I'm
Very
like,
deep
yeah,
question.
deep question.
Deep question. I feel like everybody has different purposes, right? And
Yes.
especially in today's society, I feel like we're so tend to jump into a purpose that it's not even our own purpose.
Mm.
Because we look at Instagram or we look at different people doing different things. We're like, well, maybe
Yes.
that's my purpose. This last 3-4 months, I found myself thinking my purpose was something that wasn't fitting like who I am now as a purpose as a person.
Yes.
But I think my purpose right now is really just to be happy and enjoy the journey that I'm in, and not just be present in the moment and not think about what's next. Or I mean, even though I like to think about what's
Yes,
next,
yes, of
and
course, of
I have my
course.
agendas and all this
Yeah.
craziness, but I want to be in the now as much as possible, and I want to
Yeah.
be present with myself and my family and my loved ones, and just be happy with myself and who I am as a person.
Okay. And then the next one is drum roll. The next one is what is your passion?
My passion, that's a hard one too. It's not hard. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes we don't even ask ourselves those
Right.
questions.
And I'm starting to ask those questions because I'm just like, it's important. You know
It's
what I
very
mean? It's important.
important.
And even if you don't know, it's okay. Because you could say, you know what, Raina, I don't know, but maybe I need to figure this out this year, you know?
Right.
Like, but it's a really good question
Yeah.
because I was a late bloomer, even though I kind of figured out what my purpose was, but I wasn't in alignment with God.
Right.
I was not, because I was so scared of the assignment. And the assignment was to run for mayor of Inglewood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was scary to me, where I just kept ignoring it. And I was
Right.
just living day by day, say, okay, I'm just going to get a bachelor's degree. I'm going to work for the community, and I'm going to buy a house, own a car, my dream car, and I'm going to have kids, and that's it,
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's much more than that,
Right.
So that's why I was like, let me start asking these deep questions,
Yeah, I mean, for me right now, I think my purpose is definitely to hold light within my my family and my community. I feel like my purpose as of right now is that 6 months from now it might change.
Yeah.
I think I definitely have been fighting my own gifts for a couple of years now, which is definitely holding light and enlightenment. And I have this thing that I love to teach too, but I've been kind of like, now, like, nobody wants to listen.
Share that
and,
with us, because I want to be enlightened by that, because I love gifts. You know what I mean? Like gifts spiritually,
Yeah, definitely. And being in tune with your spirituality too, whatever that means to you,
Yes,
which is
yes,
God
yes,
or
yes.
spirit.
Yes.
But this year, actually, I've been pushed to go into purpose and light. And it's funny that you talked about goddess and all this stuff, because I've
Yes.
been really enlightened by it. And I think now, like, that's going to be one of my purpose, like never to lose or dim my light for anybody or anything, and
Yes.
really be true to who I am
That's
as
so
a person.
powerful.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times we like to dim our lights and not to be seen, because we're scared of not being accepted. But if you're not being
Yes.
accepted, then you're not surrounding yourself with the right people around you, right?
Yes.
So and it's pushing your comfort zones. We're comfortable, and sometimes we're comfortable in the dark.
Yes.
And the light
You
is
are
like-
correct. Yes. I'm like, woohoo, yes, you're
yeah,
correct.
it's like you're feeling of
like I'm in the shadows, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
right It's like when you're, I don't know if this happened to you, like you're in your room, right, and it's like really really dark, and then you go out to the sun and like your eyes hurt because the
Yes.
sun is hitting you.
Yes.
And some people are uncomfortable with feeling that way, and I think I am, or I was one of those people, and I'm learning to be comfortable in my light. And
Yes.
it might be a 6-month journey, 3-month journey. It's going to be a lifetime journey for me, so
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with that.
That's a beautiful thing, because I've had this gift. I've known I've had it, but I just was so scared because I didn't want people to look at me like how people say, the modern day kind of thing, And I'm a woman of God, and I was raised Catholic, and then, I got baptized as an adult, because boy, I was something else. And so I wanted to be a better mother, right? Be a better me, because I was doing it Raina's way, and it wasn't working. So I finally say, okay, I give up, God. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you run it now. I'm gonna let you guide me. And within the journey, I always tell people, God gives us gifts, but we taint them. In the church, they say pervert. We pervert our gifts.
Right.
So it could be like an example for me. I have the gift of discernment, right?
Right.
And the gift of discernment is, for the world, is like a psychic, but
Right.
the psychic get their information from familiar spirits,
Right.
dark angels, whatever, right? And then me, I get my gift from God, because that's who I praise to,
Yeah, that's who you're connected to the
Yes.
most.
And so I was talking to my pastor about that because my I call her my Indian sister, Maggie. She's Native American, and when we met, she told me, she was like, "You are one of us." You know, and then she talked about the healing. But I was so scared because I didn't want people to connect me to a witch, like a bruja in Spanish, right? Because I've been called like that so many times, and I'm like, no, I'm not a witch. Like, I'm a woman of God.
Right.
And so what I decided was to go ahead and take my healing hands and heal my mentor, because she had cancer at the time, and the cancer came back, right? But in the spiritual world, it was interesting because I when I was closing my eyes and I was praying over her stomach, God was showing me the spiritual world, and the spiritual world was like smog, you know, like smog.
Right.
And I don't know if it was her journey within the cancer, or this was the spiritual world. It was just gray. I thought it would be really beautiful or something. No, it was just grayish smoke. And I asked God, I was like, Father God, please bless her, you know, to remove this cancer, to soften her stomach.
Right.
And her stomach went from one layer to another layer softer.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out because it was the first time I can say that I ever did this, right? So when we were done and I prayed for her, you know, God showed me that her faith wasn't strong. So I had to tell her, you have to have faith, because it's not strong. And so in the Bible, it tells you the power of the tongue can speak life or death.
Right.
So if you're already accepting the death, or you're scared,
it's going to manifest.
It's going to manifest itself. And so, so fast forward, I told her, how do you feel? She was like, I feel okay. So I was like, oh, maybe I didn't do my job. Maybe I was tripping or something, right?
Yeah, you're not.
No, I wasn't, because she says, can you come back next Friday?
Yeah.
And she goes, I felt my stomach get soft. And I was like, oh my God, the connection, you know?
Right.
And so I said, this is my journey. And my Native American sister told me to go ahead, you know, and wash my hands or arms all the way to the elbows, because, you know, it's a spiritual thing. When somebody's sick, it can connect to you spiritually. Not saying that I will get cancer, but it can affect me spiritually.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So then I have a friend, she's a medicine woman, she's African American, and she's like, just buy rose water and spray it, right? So regardless, I do it in the name of Jesus. I'll be like, all right, God, I'm gonna spray this. This is all new to me, but I'm doing it in your honor, you know? And I was able to come back. And then it was also something else more powerful too, because when I feel like that Holy Spirit, I cry because it's so overwhelming. And so I decided to say, okay, this is the journey I'm going to take. I'm going to start, I'm going to be very careful, you know, of who I help. But I know that in the future, my passion and my purpose after mayor will be a healing woman.
You're a healer.
Yes. And I want to do that. And I see my dream home in Playa del Rey. It's a beautiful mansion. And I see myself like on the top of the top. It looks like a roof, but there's it's overlooking Marina del Rey. We call it the Imperial Beach.
Yeah.
And it's like a jacuzzi and a chair. And I could see myself sitting there while my client is in the jacuzzi, relaxing, and we're having session. To heal them mentally and physically and spiritually.
That's amazing.
So that's what I want to do. So I'm going to go to school to become a prophet.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
It's crazy. But that's what I'm saying. Like, wow, like just hearing your story is making me feel that I need to continue that calling.
I will share something with you too. Not too long ago, I reconnected with my boyfriend now, right? We have a crazy, unique love story, and I'll share with that.
Yes, I would love that.
But when I met him, and I'll say I met him for the second time, he told me, and you know, I thought I'm a spiritual person, like, you know, crystals and my angel cards, and obviously I grew up Catholic as well, and I love, you know, going. I'm not going to say I love going to church because I haven't done it, but I need to do it more often. But I definitely respect it, and I grew up very religious in the Catholic Church, and there is, you know, he brought to me different ideas and different things, and I would look at him and I'd be like, God, like you know, and he said like, I'm a healer, and I was like, wow, like maybe you are, you know, and a lot of the times I would question it, not because I would doubt him, but because I doubted myself. So we were mirrors, of each other. And
Yes.
got into this little thing called plant medicine. It's not a little thing actually, but I was open enough to plant medicine. I prayed about it before I did it.
Yes.
And I was like, does God want me to do this, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of the times, like you said, it goes against religion. Like, why do I feel the need to do something like this?
Yes.
And it just takes you to a whole different world, and it shows you your beauty inside and out, and it shows you who you're meant to be, and a lot of the times we're scared to do it, and we're scared to tap into those rooms because it could also show us our shadow self, and our shadow self is very scary, right? We don't want to see our shadow self.
And, I call it the dark side.
Like Darth Vader. But I think at the end of it, if we don't make peace with our shadow self, if we don't love our shadow self, and if we don't accept it, then it's always going to be there. And the more you work on yourself, the more enlightened you are. Even if it's 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I feel like it's important for us to walk that journey too.
Yes.
Something I would have never thought about on my own, continuing the journey that I was going to a couple of months ago. And he came into my life, and it just kind of, everything started falling into place. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's really, really hard to do. And you start questioning everything. But I think in the middle of questions, you also find yourself. And
of course.
And it's like, you should never be scared of your own power. Like, you're a powerful person. And if you could heal other humans, and other humans out there need you to heal them as well.
Yes. And I always tell people, like, because they always say there has to be an agenda, whether it's hidden agenda or not a hidden agenda. My agenda in general is to bring people closer to God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's for me. And I always tell people, even if you don't believe in Jesus, that's not fine as a Christian. But for me, I'm a human being.
Right.
And sometimes it takes baby steps. So if it means that I have to bring them to God, the creator, before they can hit that baby step of who Jesus was and whatever. Right. And how I share that is when I was molested as a child by my step grandfather, I blamed God.
Right.
Because it's the easiest thing to do, right? Blame God, because he's the creator.
Right.
But then once I start learning later on in life that when sin happened, it's like God is like one of those parents where they're like, okay, I'm going to let you do what you're going to do now. You know what I mean?
Let's see what you do with that.
Yes, the free will and everything. And so I became that angry individual eventually, then gang bang. And then I wanted to put my hurt and anger of what I was experiencing, as a teenager, and that was hard. That was really, really hard for me. But at the end of the day, I just felt like it took 97 when I was almost shot. I was almost gunned down in front of my high school. And I had a spiritual awakening. And sometimes the Bible will say one thing, but I always talk to God and I say, God, I know they say purgatory, is not real because Christians don't believe in it. It's just hell or heaven. I said, but you have to help me out, because what I seen when I thought I was shot, I fell down a black tunnel. And at the time I wasn't saved. I was going to church just so I won't go to hell, but it was no relationship with God, right?
Yeah, right.
And when I was falling down that tunnel, I was like, damn, I'm going to hell. But then the tunnel kept going for eternity. And I'm just like looking back like, okay, so finally I just, opened my arms and just fell back and just accepted, maybe this is my purgatory. Like, maybe I'm just going to be like this for eternity, right?
Stop fighting it.
Yes. And I just let go. And when I let go, something says, look back one more time. And I just looked back and I seen the Virgin Mary's hands and her turquoise cloth. So when I saw that, I definitely let go. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Because through the whole time I was saying, my Father, my Hail Mary, God forgive me. You didn't give me a good hand to deal with, Right. And when I thought I was dead, I opened my eyes and my homeboy was still pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
And my mom came, and then he ran because he saw my mom. And then I just remember my mom saying, you look like you saw a ghost. And in my brain, I was quiet and mute because I couldn't believe what the heck just happened spiritually, which is a spiritual awakening.
Absolutely. Yeah. Of course.
And so with that, my spirituality and knowing God, it's like reading the Bible's basic instructions before leaving earth. That's how I look at it. Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth. I opened the Bible as a history book, because there's so much information in there. If you're depressed, open that Bible. They got depression up in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely,
Yes.
yes.
Like it's so many things. And like it was one of my friends, she can't conceive children. And I had to tell her that I believe that God can help you become a
Right.
mother. But
Right.
first you have to be married. But there's a lot of baby mamas out there. I said, yes, but that's not your story.
Yeah, your story is
You know what I mean?
different.
It's different. And so I was telling her also in the Bible, it doesn't say all women were going to have children. So I kind of
doesn't.
like, I was trying to educate her, but at the same time, give her hope to let her know that I was one of those women that couldn't conceive. My baby didn't have a heartbeat.
Right.
You know, when I came back, it was
Right.
dead in me, you know, and then I had a defect baby. And I cried and I cried and I was like, God, just give me one baby. I took these herbs religiously. I went to church to the Virgin Mary, give her flowers. I went to the Jesus Peace and bowed down. And it was like, God, just give me one. I promise to you, if you give me one child, I will raise them in the church. And God gave me 5. And I'm like, Lord, and that's what church time every Sunday, you know.
Yeah,
but I
that's-
talk to them and educate them, not like, you know, religion, but more of a relationship with the
God.
Creator. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think so too. I think a lot of the times where, like you said, you know, the moment you resisted that black tunnel, you were able to see something different. You were able, God was able to
Yes.
show you, if you stop resisting me, I'm gonna always
Have your
back.
back.
And
Yes.
you needed to stop resisting it. If not, you were gonna
Yes.
continue to fall down that black tunnel, right?
Mhm.
And you know, God shows us different things in different ways.
Yes, He
and
does.
not because, you know, and it's funny you say that, because, you know, I'm 25 years old. In
Yes.
our millennial world, whatever, a lot of girls, a lot of people are like, well, I'm doing this and that, and I'm living my best life. Well, what is living your best life, right?
Right?
And
Partying,
and
what?
I'm not shaming anybody for
Yes.
it. I like to say I'm living my best life,
But you have a purpose
but
behind
living
it.
my best life
Yes.
with the purpose, right? And that
Yes.
changes the whole game. You know, I could say, well, I was out doing da 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 da, and I was living my best life, and that kind of takes us away from, when you say living your best life,
Yes.
it takes the bad stuff you were doing, and it kind of makes it okay. And that's
Preach, girl. Yes.
that's a very
Yes.
I feel like that's a gray zone that we're all like to play in. We all like to
Yes.
play in, well, I was just living my best life. Well, your best life, like, and you want, you know, if you really truly see it, you know, living your best life sometimes is not living your truest self. And
Yes.
it's not living with purpose. So from now,
I
you
love
know,
that.
and you know, you need to go through that. You need to go through that to be able to have epiphanies like this and be able
Yes.
to see it in a different light. But, you know, for me, at least, like, going through the motions and, you know, speaking to a lot of business owners
Yes.
and being a daughter and, you know, eventually a mom, like, I definitely want to be able to bring that and be able to
Yes.
share that with the world too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love the way you said it, living my best life, but it's like you're okay with doing wrong, you know?
And it's scary because how many people are doing that? You know?
a lot of
And-
people.
And it's like, oh, you did this and that. Well, I was just living my best life. And
Yeah.
I'm guilty of saying things like that
Yeah.
as well, you know? And that's why I say there's no judgy or there's no
Yeah,
shame
yeah, of course.
for it.
But,
But I
you're
think
being real.
It's being real with ourselves. And, you know, another girlfriend of yours might come along and be like, well, that's fine. You were just living your best life, girl. Like, go on and be your best self. But are you showing up for your best self? Like, are you living in light?
Yes,
And
yes,
like,
yes.
what is that? What is living your best life? Everybody has a
Awesome.
different version of living their
Yes.
best life. Like, just like everybody has a different version of success, you know?
Yes.
I said, like, you know, what is it that I want to be? I just want to be happy and like living, you know, on right now. I
Yes.
was actually reading the book of The Power of Now last night, and I was like, that's powerful.
Yeah.
How many people do you know right now that are just like working, but they don't know what they're working for? It's like, when I have the house, when I have the car, when I have this, I'm gonna be happy. It's like, why can't you be happy now?
Because material things don't make you happy.
No,
they
it's-
have that comedian, I forgot what's his name, but he used to make everybody laugh, and then he committed suicide.
Yes, and the Miss
So-
Universe, it just happened not too long ago. The Miss Universe.
Yes.
I forgot if she was Miss USA, but I did see the post. She was happy. She seemed like everything, she had it all together, and a lot of the times you don't.
Yeah.
But you can't say that because you go on Instagram and it looks
perfect.
everybody has it all together.
It's like, oh, if we could have reached her, we could have saved a life. You know what I mean?
But you couldn't tell the world you're feeling depressed because you shouldn't feel depressed. What is there to be depressed about?
Because you have everything.
But at the end of the day, like you said, you're picking up demons. Everywhere, you know.
And you have to deal with them.
A lot of us, we don't want to deal with it because it's hard.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's so beautiful. That's so awesome. How can our viewers find you on social media?
Well, my @ name is Insurance Babe.
Hey, Insurance Babe. And she's definitely Insurance Babe. Is there anything you want to share with our viewers before we close our session today?
I think I said everything I needed to say.
Okay. All right. Well, let me tell you something. Today was very enlightening. I enjoyed just sitting here, getting to know Maria. And I can't wait to build a relationship with her in a spiritual level, because even God is saying, have those sessions with her, because yes, I might be 43 years old, but this 25-year-old can teach me a few things, growing within myself, loving myself. We all go through things and inner demons. And one thing I can say about myself is that even though I love myself, I have insecurities because I look back of how I used to look. And being a mother of 5, it's like, wow, you know, the society call it a frupa, whatever it's called. And I'm like, I have one of those. I need a faja to wear a dress and things of that nature, you know. I laugh about it because I can. It's me, right? You know. But at the same time, you know, those insecurities run heavy on me because I'm trying to be that old Raina, right? The one with the J-Lo body. But in reality, we just have to learn to love and accept ourselves. And as we want to make changes, we just go with the journey. So until then, this is Raina Carillo with Purpose and Passion, signing out. Peace. Bye.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient Nasset. Nasset increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.